That's right. We're talking about Van Halen. Sans Halen. Bro.
Nothing.
Sans
What's going
Halen.
on, man?
Ravidly doth.
Ravidly doth. Hammy Sagar.
The one and only. All right. I think we're live. We got on all the everything's flying. All right. Well, welcome to a special edition, I suppose, of Record Talk, which I used the wrong intro for, but we'll just eat it. Brian couldn't be with us today, but he is well. He's just doing some family stuff. So it's James and I today, which is actually ironically fitting.
It's pretty fitting
because we're talking about one of the greatest guitar players to ever live, a god amongst men. So says I, not James. So it'll be interesting.
I don't say not a god amongst men.
All right. Well, more importantly,
What's in the
glass. All right. And
is that it? That's the move, right?
It's hard to remember, It's like
it's been a while.
A little rusty. We didn't have any spring training. We're just right back into a new season here. So
all good.
The sun is still out. It's strange. I'm trying to see if Brian is around. Maybe he could just even pop in. But James, what's in the glass?
It's a little early, so I'm having chocolate milk.
You love that chocolate milk.
It's so good. It's nice and sweet, and it's frothy and creamy. It's just fantastic.
I believe Nesquik makes a strawberry that is delicious, and also a banana, which is quite tasty.
I don't know about the banana, but that sounds wonderful.
That could also be muscle milk. Maybe I've made that up. Anything's possible.
Oh, that's so good.
I
was going to pour a bourbon because, it is afternoon, but, it is a little bit early. But anyway, what do you got?
I have Extend branched chain amino acids, grape flavor. It's delicious. And eventually I'll segue into some coconut water. Also delicious.
How do you like just straight up coconut water?
I do like it.
Cold. Is it too coconutty at times, or?
I like coconut. So it doesn't bother me.
Fair enough.
But it could bother someone who doesn't enjoy coconut, I suppose.
I was going to ask you a question, but I feel like on air it's the wrong thing to ask, so it's all good.
Yes, the answer is yes. All right. Now,
good to know. That's probably very accurate for the question.
The answer is always yes. It's always yes. That's our lesson, our first lesson here, kids, today. Our first lesson was the right answer is always because of family. But secondarily, it's the answer is always yes.
Man, those memes are killing me. Absolutely killing me. Did you see the thing like there's going to be a Jurassic Park Fast and Furious crossover, and you know what can stop a Tyrannosaurus Rex?
Family, man. Family.
Obviously.
And when you're in the family, you can't die. Even like when you're legit dead, somehow you're still at the end of the movie. So weird.
Have you seen the new one yet? Or
I read about it.
I read a little bit about it, but I'm actually not spoiling myself. I heard one. What's up?
I will see it. I like those movies.
I'll see it too. I feel like it'll be a fun ride.
I like Han, so I'm happy that he's back somehow.
Right? I can't wait for that.
I'm curious as to how that is. I like how he's always eating.
Yeah, that's my favorite thing about him.
Which was similar to Brad Pitt's character in the Ocean's 11 series. He was always
I was just going to say that.
Of course you were.
Weird. But
all right.
Anyway, yeah, sorry.
Gentlemen, let's broaden our minds.
All right, so today we're talking about Van Halen, boys and girls. And we each assembled, James, Brian, and myself, although Brian is absent, our top 5 Van Halen songs. So I'm gonna, I guess, where I got introduced is where I'd like to start, and then maybe you can give your perspective, because for me, my first Van Halen album was that Best Of Volume 1 from 1996.
Okay.
The black one with the gold writing on
it.
Yeah. It had some Roth stuff, some Hagar stuff, and then it had the song from the Humans Being, which is definitely on your list, but we'll get there. And then it had the 2 new David Lee Roth songs. So for me, back in the day, like CDs were like $22 or $18, and there was no free music like there is now. So that was just the easiest way for me to get into a lot of bands. And oh Christ. And I didn't differentiate you're a one singer fan or the other. Just to me, it made sense because that's like 96. And then my first Van Halen show, was with Gary Sharon in 1998, and I enjoyed Van Halen 3 because again my brain didn't have allegiances.
Yeah.
But I remember when listening to that, like you had pointed out like how Pound Cake was done. Because that was right around, 96. That's right when guitar playing started in my world. So like, you're my guitar player friend. Like that's the thing. So I remember like nerding out over that song. But that was my first taste into it. And I think the first song I learned how to play was Ain't Talking About Love. What about you?
I think my first Van Halen that I learned, I don't know if holding a drill next to your guitar counts, but probably I tried to learn Pound Cake and it just didn't happen. It's way, way above my pay grade at the time. But I think my first Van Halen that I tried to learn was actually the instrumental song that was on the Twister soundtrack. That it was called Respect the Wind. And I think it won Best Rock Instrumental Performance for that year at the Grammys. But that was probably the first thing that I tried to learn just because it was the least intense. It was something that you could easily take apart. Because there was nothing to distract you. There was no bass, there was no vocals. It was just some piano and some guitar. And that's still one of my favorite Van Halen pieces, actually.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's something just to be sort of said across the board is just, it didn't seem to matter what was happening musically outside of their world. I just think the prolificness and the creativity of that guy on any instrument was just, okay, next, like, oh, give him a flute and he's going to shred on it. Like, I just feel like it happened.
I think that was an eye-opening thing for me, that you say, like, the multi-instrumental nature of Eddie Van Halen. Because I feel like so many things that we might say on the show are just a case of like, oh, you didn't know that? Right. You don't know something until you know something. And seeing the video for Jump and seeing him tear ass on the friggin' keyboard was like, he does that too?
Right.
Like that was eye-opening for me because if you didn't know, you didn't know. And I had no idea. So yeah, he's ridiculous at everything he touched that involved any form of music. He was fantastic at.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. So when I was assembling my list, I know it's supposed to be 5, but I have like my 5 main, and then I have some like honorable mentions that I'll get to at the end if there's time. Cause Brian cut a third of the list away, which we'll post his separately, which will be fascinating. But,
do you have, sorry, I'm interrupting you. Do you have like your 5 and then you have like the usual suspects behind the 5? Is that what's going on? Or do you genuinely have like handfuls of like Van Halen songs where you're like, I love that one. I love that one.
Yeah, no, it's that. I definitely have a collection of songs that speak to me. I mean, I was like Panama is not on my list, but that's just unspoken. Like that's just it's when he's doing on the guitar. Yeah,
that's what I mean. Like, I feel like the world has the Van Halen usual suspects. That's right. Like Panama and You Really Got Me, things like that.
Yeah.
But so like you don't have to have those on your list. They basically they come with the territory.
Right. So mine aren't in any particular order. Like I put the album they're from and the year and stuff, but I kind of just jump around. So how about you go first? What's your first song, James?
My first song is I told you about it the other day while I was on the way home from the dentist. Actually, the station that I was listening to at the time had a Van Halen block going on actually. And where I picked up was Unchained. And that's probably one of my first like favorite older Van Halen songs that wasn't one of the usual suspects.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that one's on my list as well. So that's a great place to start, which is funny because that wasn't on my list until you said it. I'm like, how could I have forgotten that? So for those tuning in, that's the only one that's maybe we both kind of could guess because we had talked about it casually. But that's Fair Warning, 1981, which I think is their... Is that the third or the fourth album? I'm not really sure the chronology.
I think third, but I'm not certain.
Brian.
See, this is where we lose out on not having Brian because Brian's got all this stuff like right on cue.
That's right. I have something that Brian doesn't have.
Internet access.
I have Google. Very nice discography Wikipedia page for all of that. So, which is
perfect.
That is from. What do you say? Fair Warning. That is the 4th record after Women and Children First.
Damn.
And you got to understand, I mean, for those who don't know, Van Halen 1, Van Halen 2, Women and Children First, Fair Warning, 78, 79, 80, 81, Diver Down, 82. 5 records in 5 years. The last one's mostly covers and doo-doo, but still 5 records in 5 years. That's outrageous.
Yeah. It's, do you think that's a result of like they hadn't really like gotten a lot of traction at that point, that they weren't on like a rigorous touring schedule, so they had the time to just keep putting material together?
I think that's how the industry was back then, because you had to keep putting out records to keep making money. I
Fair
think
enough.
that, again, Eddie and Alex had been making music together forever, so they're very prolific. So I just think they were just constantly writing, and they had like, I mean, I just saw something. What's up, bro? Yeah, I agree. Yeah, okay. I got a couple I agree with you. You can't see the comments. Can you see the comments?
I can't.
Okay. Yeah. I lost it. Oh, so like, I mean, they were like the house band at like what, the Whiskey or one of those, like they were just a band, you know, and like, yeah, I don't know, but it was constantly, there's not a ton of filler, you know? So Unchained, that's on my list as well. Unchained, back when I was bartending, I had a CD, a mixtape back at Characters, and Unchained was my first song. And I put on, you know, that every day I opened up the bar, no matter what headspace I was in during the Jesscapades and other things. It just got me right in track where I needed to be.
Yeah.
Right.
That's a good one. That's like a good general, like amped up song kind of a thing.
Yeah.
I feel like it's always good to get you like pumped up.
And it's heavy, you know, like not, I mean, they're not a heavy band like you think of the Kill Switch or Pantera or something, but just the low, the drop D and the flanger and the way it moves, it's just so well executed.
I feel like we may as well mention this while we're talking, you know, while we're talking about how the music is structured and whatnot, that I feel like Van Halen for a lot of people is this big like powerhouse band. But I think if you're a musician and you're used to like getting into stuff a little bit deeper than that, like you start to realize like Van Halen is really great riffs and really great tones. And I found it the more that I was listening to them this past couple of weeks, like while we were, you know, putting together these lists and whatnot, which the list did not take long to go together. I mean, these are just your favorite songs. But I realized so much of the song in my brain, this is terrible to say, but how much of the songs in my brain were kind of disposable because I was just focused on the riff and I was focused on the groove. And like Eddie and Alex as a unit they're that whole band.
Yep. No disagreement. And, you know, I was listening recently, Sweetwater had their Gear Fest digitally, and Phil X did a talk, and he was talking about just like after Eddie passed, all of these videos started popping up on YouTube, like a perfect board recording and decent camera, multi-camera shoot from like 1978 or something, 79. And it's like listening to his tone when he went from like the Frankenstrat to like the Destroyer that he like cut
the shark guitar.
Yeah. And it's like the shark guitar just had a way better tone than his iconic guitar, because just, you know, it's a big hunk of mahogany that he cut a chunk out of. So that was basically an Explorer copy back then, like you know, a lawsuit era. Destroyers were getting in trouble. So yeah, as a musician, as a guitar player, it's very easy to fall down the hole. Pete Thorne just did a pickup shootout running through all these different and it's just insane.
That video gave me so much anxiety because like I was like, oh, you got to play that pickup and you got to have that tone when you play that song. And then he wasn't doing that. Like, so I wasn't hearing what I wanted to hear at certain times. I was losing my freaking mind.
Yeah.
But holy comprehensive. I mean, that was crazy.
Oh, this guy is brilliant. So what's your next song?
I went first and you had the same one.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to go, I'm going to stick with I'm going to at least try and stay in different eras. So we're going to stay in the Roth era, because David Lee Roth in his prime was literally a god.
Yeah.
You couldn't touch him. He's like the proto Axl, the proto Vince Neil. All those 80s guys had nothing. He was the guy that they all were cut from his ball hairs and turned into, you know, like snip and then they grew.
Like Superman 4? Is that where they made the other guy?
Well, it's like when you take a grape and then you take the seed out of the grape and you put it in the ground. But yeah, that's probably more accurate. So my next choice is a song called Light Up the Sky on Van Halen 2, 1979. Now, everyone, you know, it's Van Halen 1, all the hits, and they're all hits. You know, I'm the One, Atomic Punk. Like once you get past the big ones, it's still hits. But Van Halen 2 is kind of where I feel like the follow-up. We're like, now we got to show you what's up. Yeah. And I think Light Up the Sky is a bunch of different movement. I like the melody within the chorus, because I was trying specifically to pick things where it's not all the guitar that's carrying it. And I don't know if you're familiar with the song, but I like that song. It's a good song.
I'm not, but I will listen to it now. Like I'm predominantly unfamiliar with a lot of the older stuff because what's your favorite Metallica album?
Well, I'm a loser. It's the Black Album.
Because that's the one that you heard first.
Yeah.
So for me, For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge is the starting point.
True.
And I know the old stuff, but none of it has the same impact.
Yep.
You know, like OU812, kind of like I got into a lot at some point, but it never bit me the way that For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge and Forward did. And that's unfortunate. You know, some might say that that's the lesser point of their career. So I kind of missed out on all the good stuff, but that's, you know what I mean? I feel like your point of entry is where you tend to keep your loyalties.
Which is why I think for me, and that's why I started off by saying that best of, it was everything. So I didn't have to feel that way.
You really locked out.
Same thing with like Ozzy stuff. I remember like I was getting into Ozzy and I had the Randy Rhoads tribute album, but I also had No More Tears. And Ryan Ball was like, so you're a Randy Rhoads guy, you're a Zach Wild guy. I'm like, I don't care. Because I liked Ozzy. It didn't matter who the guitar player was. Now I have a preference, but the same thing with this, like it did. Oh, there's just different voices, but it was still Van Halen. I was young enough. What am I? I'm 13 years old. So it was like, oh my God, listen to this music.
Yeah.
And it's like, I know my closing question in all my interviews was, you know, Hagar or Roth. It's both because it's two separate bands. It's really special that they were able to achieve something so cool with both. Something so cool and something so different, yet the same with different singers. But yeah, check out that song. What's your next one?
My next one, When It's Love.
Beautiful song.
I love that song. I think it's a very, very pretty song. I think it's got a great hook. I think it's another, you know, typical Van Halen. It's a really great riff. I think Hagar is on point with the vocals through it. That maybe that's my differentiation between Hagar and Roth is I think Hagar said more, or like I had an emotional connection more to things that Hagar sung about.
Yeah, he's a better vocalist.
Yeah, but again, like I don't want to teeter that line and say that one was better than the other. It's two very different things.
Right.
On
paper, I should say he's a better singer.
Yeah.
And stuff.
Yeah. My favorite part of that is when I was listening to the songs, I had the videos kind of running with it because I'm naturally just listening on YouTube. And in the video, Eddie's playing the Frankenstrat. And in the solo, he has exactly. But if you know anything about that guitar, if you're watching this and you know anything about Van Halen, you're kind of a guitar player, you know that only one pickup in that guitar works. And he plays the solo in the video with that guitar on the neck pickup sound. And that guitar doesn't have a neck pickup in it. So like
the pickup selector is just thrown in the center spot there.
So that's not like the full blown relic, right? Like that's just
this is the relic.
It is the relic.
Oh yeah.
I can't wait to play that in a week.
Yeah, the neck is crazy. Stainless steel frets, but it's like fast and it's unfinished the way we like it.
Yeah,
you'll dig it.
It
will not go on the chopping block until after you come and go.
I appreciate that. But that was like a little bit of like a little comic snip that I had about that. But I just think it's a great song. I think that might be the first thing that I really identified with after obsessing over For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge as an album. That I was like, oh, there's this. And that was awesome. And that's probably, that song is around where I started to realize that there was two different things going on, that there was Roth and that there was Hagar. Because again, you don't know until you know.
Right.
So, and I hadn't made the correlations with other things. Like I didn't know the band to know what was what. So
it's a beautiful song. Other than the na part at the end is just oof.
Michael Anthony.
Oh, like, we're gonna get that's like a whole separate category because I think he's the reason why they worked with two different singers, because he is the glue.
Yeah.
You take his harmony away from either of their voices and it's not the choruses, it's not the same band.
Oh yeah. And like I've seen footage of them after he was gone, and it's definitely the case of it being a different band, and in my humble opinion, for the worse, because he was so essential in keeping that band like in the sound that band had.
And no disrespect to Wolfgang, his solo record, this Mammoth, fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, awesome. So he's a talented kid, but Michael Anthony is the voice that was missing. So I agree.
Yeah.
My turn.
Yeah, go for it. What's your number 2?
I gave my number 2. It's Light Up the Sky.
No, that was your. Oh, that was your number 2 because we both had the same number 1. Okay, what's your number 3 then?
All right, so this is my last Roth song just because, but there are of course many in my sub list. But Drop Dead Legs off of 1984.
Okay.
It is so slinky, the guitar part.
Yeah.
You got it?
Yeah, I got it. I had to reach for it a little bit, but I know what you're talking about. Yeah. That's part of that older sound too.
Yeah. Hold on, I'll give you a taste of it. I don't care if we get demonetized. It's just for fun.
Yeah.
It's just so like, and you can't play it unless you go to drop D, but all these tabs have it wrong.
As is often the case.
Oh, but man, like it's it's a classic David Lee Roth, on the prowl kind of song, which is that. But just the groove of it's fantastic, and that's another one that they kept some of the Roth songs in the initial Hagar era, but that one died. That one hadn't been done live until the reunion 2007. If they even did it then, I can't even recall. I saw that show, but I was so out of my mind, excited, processed. But yeah, I love that song. And most people, when they think 84, they're going to think Hot for Teacher. They're going to think Jump, or what's the other one? The I'll Wait. I think that's on that one. But yeah, Drop Dead Legs. Love that song.
What's Panama on?
I think Panama's on 1984 also.
It is, right? Okay. I thought that was the case.
They closed out that. Yeah, that was huge. I'll Wait, Hot for Teacher, 1984, Jump, Panama. Yeah. House of Pain. That they closed out the David Lee Roth era with a bang. Yeah,
it's unfortunate when you think about it like that.
Yeah.
But that song right there, actually, that gives me like Led Zeppelin vibes, like Led Zeppelin 3 or kind of vibes.
Because it swings, and in the drums, that's like a bottom sound that just
yeah.
That's my favorite song.
For my third, you called it earlier, Humans Being.
Yep.
That might be my favorite Van Halen song. Yeah. Just because I thought it had like so much energy. I love really high energy songs, and it's a pretty simple riff in the scheme of things, but oftentimes simple is very effective. And I think that's the case there. That's my favorite Van Halen. What'd you say?
No, go on. I'll tell you something about the song when you finish.
It's my favorite Van Halen guitar tone, which I think is like the early PV days.
Yeah.
And that like not chorus, but like pitch kind of element to it, where it's almost like a doubled kind of sound that's almost like a chorus, but not quite.
Yep.
I just think that sound is incredibly lush, and it's lush all by itself, and then he probably like quad tracked the whole album, so it's just preposterous how big it is.
He got very good towards from Balance onward. So I guess this would be towards the end of Balance Sessions, because it's the song that came out after that. But that out of tune thing, where it's just like you're right, it's a super wide chorus that's just I think it's probably a harmonizer, really, because it's just you're out of tune with itself in a cool way.
Yeah, it's like a couple cents plus or minus either way, and it gives you such width to your tone. It's fantastic. But
so yeah, I didn't like that song when it first came out. It grew on me over the years. That's the song that probably broke up the band.
I think it is, actually,
because they were just arguing of what the lyrics would be about, and should it have references to Twister and Tornadoes, or should it not? And I mean, there was tension in the Balance Sessions that I'll get into when I get into. I guess I'll do that song next. But yeah, it's a great song though, and just the tone, it's so simple. I mean, it's just basically he's playing an E minor shape, and then plays a major shape, but slides it up, and it's just all one shape for that whole intro part, and then it's just faster. But that's the thing. Awesome.
Yeah, and was it that song, or I think it was When It's Love that I meant to mention as well. I'm an idiot. But it's really kind of all of them that he captured this like element of his playing, that like he's got all these subtle harmonic idiosyncrasies that he does, that like even when he's not playing harmonics, he's playing harmonics.
Yeah.
And he pulls so many small sounds out of the instrument, like to fill in empty spaces.
Yeah.
And it's so cool. And he does that a lot he does that a lot in almost everything that he does. And it's a really unique thing that not a lot of players manage to do that, or they do it in different ways. But the way he did it, it never ever sounded stale. It's so unique.
And even like I've seen videos of him just like horsing around and stuff, and it seemed more. I don't know if he just elevated that ability on the, you know, last 4 or 5 records. Like it just maybe recording technology got better. You can hear so much more of it.
Yeah.
In more recent albums where the nuances, it's almost as though he has on an amp that's like on 11, but he rolled back the volume a little bit and he's letting his hands really bring out all these little things, but it's all touch sensitive, which brings back the story. The guitar playing is in your hands. Like you could sit at his exact rig and neither of us are going to make it sound like the way he was. It's
a little bit of a tangent, but I remember watching interviews with him when people were talking to him when he did the 5150, and he was saying that other guitar players at the time had been like, hey, could I try a rig out? And they would all like plug into it and be like, I can't use this. Like that, like his combination of like guitar and amplifier and the way that he had everything configured, he could extract everything out of it. And other guitar players are like, no.
Yeah, it's precision.
Yeah, he was a completely different animal in what he could get out of an instrument like that.
All right, so I'm going to jump to my next song here, right?
What do you got? Go for it.
All right, so
this is your number 3.
Number 4 now. So just
to
recap, we're resetting the stage. Rob had Unchained, Light Up the Sky, Drop Dead Legs.
Legs, right.
James had Unchained, When It's Love,
Human Being.
Okay, so Rob's number 4.
Because we had the same first song, it messed everything up.
Yeah. All right, so now we're into the Sammy Hagar era. I'm going out of order just because it's how I wrote them down, but it connects a bit to what the one you just said. It's I think it's the first or the second song, or one of the whatever. It's on Balance. The song "Don't Tell Me What Love Can Do" from 1995. So another Drop D song. It was written about Kurt Cobain and what was going on, and Sammy Hagar wrote "Don't Let Me Tell You What Love Can Do," and because it was like 95 or in grunge, the Van Halen brothers said, no, it can't be happy. So they made him rewrite it to "Don't Tell Me What Love Can Do." And if you listen to the song, basically, it's talking about, heroin and suicide and some really dark stuff. But the chorus was supposed to say, but let me tell you, I can fix it with love. Let me tell you what love can do. And they turned him and said no. So he completely changed it. And if you listen to the song and change the chorus, it's a completely different song. Because I think the lyrics remain the same. It's just the chorus changed. And it's really remarkable. But my favorite parts of certain Van Halen songs are the stuff that happens as it's fading out. Because there's just weird stuff happening. So at the end of this song, there's like, they just keep saying, don't tell me what love can do. And it's heavy for them. And he's playing just like 3 chords, dun, just the classic, bah, 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 that kind of thing. But the flanger in the middle, he's like hitting the E string, but muting it with his left hand. So you can still kind of hear the harmonic of it. And the flanger goes perfectly in time of his chug. And it's just like, oh my God, like that is, I thought Unchained had the flanger sound. No, that's the flanger sound. So
really?
Love can do. Yep. At the very end. Man. Which is interesting too, because at the very end of Jump, there's the outro riff that he's noodling on became Best of Both Worlds, which is a Sammy Hagar song on way later. Yeah.
See, I don't know either of these songs. Now I have to listen to both of them.
Cool stuff. So Don't Tell Me What Love Can Do. Yep. What do you got for number 4?
Ain't Talking About Love.
See, I didn't put that because I felt like it was too but it's the first one I learned, so it should be there.
Yeah, that song's a little like too special to me. That you okay?
Choked on coconut water.
Oh no, I finished all my chocolate milk. I'm very sad. But just I love the riff of that song. I love everything about that song, and I feel like it's like we were saying the other day that some Roth songs lyrically can be difficult. That you just listen to them and you're like, what does that mean? That doesn't really happen as much in Ain't Talking About Love, I don't think. I think it's a little bit more focused. I love the riff. I just love the song as a work entirely. I think it's great.
No argument. Fantastic. Great song. as a guitar player, as an intro sort of Van Halen song, the most of the solo is manageable. The riff is just sort of a couple of chords that you're just arpeggiating them in a really cool way.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, another flanger in that one as well. No,
in the intro, I believe it comes on and off on the like that one bend that he has there.
Yeah,
but
also fantastic song. Yeah, the lyrics, that's something we were talking about. You know, you get into a lot of these songs and it's like David Lee Roth was just a madman, and Sammy Hagar was big onto the double entendres.
Yep.
You know, so in Pound Cake, you know, well, what is Pound Cake, you know? And then he had another song when they put together 3 new songs for one of the best ofs when he got back with the band 2004 called Up for Breakfast, which is literally like the metaphorical sister to Pound Cake. But instead of saying Pound Cake, he's talking about being up for breakfast. And it's the same concept. But Roth, you know, what he did sometimes, it didn't matter what he was saying because it was how he said it. And during one of the times that they weren't getting along, Eddie said that, you know, Dave couldn't sing for anything and they would literally do one word or one phrase at a time in the studio, to which point I says, who cares? Because it worked. It didn't matter. The ow and all those little things in the middle, like it's can't be duplicated, can't be replicated. That's just him. And he nailed it.
I remember that the stories of that David Lee Roth couldn't do like a full take at any given point. And I find that incredible because, like, I guess for like overdubs, that's something. But if he sang most of his parts like that, that's like, who put that together? Because that had to have been nightmarish.
Yeah, but it's convincing. I mean, it flows. I think they're just being a little, maybe phrases, but I imagine the words were coherent. But for whatever, you know, I saw him open for Kiss February 2020 before the pandemic. And he had just come off of that Vegas residency, and he wasn't singing.
David Lee Roth.
Yeah, and he wasn't singing so well at the Vegas residency, but watching him open for Kiss, he sang perfectly. And he had a band. He had like 2 guitar players and a keyboard player and a drummer and a bass player, but he did all Van Halen songs and, you know, like Just a Gigolo and Icky Rose, which is awesome. Opened up with Just Like Paradise, which is a great song as well from his solo era. But he sang well. He did well. So whatever, like. These guys are all mean to each other. We should just be happy that they're still here on this planet doing something. And even if it's not what it was 100%, the legacy is enough to support anything that comes out thereafter.
Yeah, absolutely.
So my 5th song, and we'll have time for me to get into my other songs as well, but my initial top 5 closed out with Pound Cake because, and I was literally, I left the drill in the other room, but I was going to try and replicate it.
So, spoiler alert before you get too far, so is mine.
Yeah, I know. That's good. We are friends. We
bookended this perfectly.
Yeah. I watched Brian jumps on. He's like, dude, those are my also. Yeah, man, like that. It was just so creative to make that work. And I love that the drill, at least in I don't know if I ever saw the video for it, if there was a video, but I think there might have been.
There was a video for it. That was my first exposure to it.
But is the drill painted like the...
Yes, it was.
That's so awesome. So awesome.
Yeah, it was
harmonics. The use of harmonics is the verses. Like there's no chords in the verses. It's just all open harmonics. Brilliant.
And like what I was saying before about all like the little harmonic content that he pulls out of the instrument, like he does it in the video, and then if you watch him perform the song live, he does it the same way. Like the intro to the solo that are all those like random like haphazard taps on the fingerboard. That's just how he plays that part, and just all these cool sounds come out of the guitar. He redefines that whole like adage of making it look effortless. Like he really looked like he was barely paying attention to what he was doing at times, and like this magic happened.
I've been watching a lot of videos in the last handful of months ever since he passed, and it always looked effortless like that. It just doesn't make any sense. The ability to, I mean, it just, you know, I've never played anything, no matter how easy it is, as effortlessly as he seems to be playing the most complicated stuff.
Yeah. I've never had that like transcendental feeling while playing any instrument or doing anything in life where I've been like, I'm completely comfortable. I can do no wrong right now. That's never happened to me whatsoever.
Magic. It's magic. I have some other songs, if I may.
Well, I mean, we could always we could do your others, and we can always throw in there those usual suspects in case you have that person out there that's just like, is that a Van Halen song? I'm not sure I even know what Van Halen songs are. So go for it.
All right. So my next one on the list would have been a song called Cabo Wabo. You know that song?
I would imagine it's a Hagar era song.
It is. It's on OU 812, and it's a partying song and a love song, I guess. And it's talking about being in Mexico and you drank too much tequila and you're doing the Cabo Wabo because you're in Cabo and you're wobbly because you drank too much. That's what that meant, which you learn in the lyrics of that song. But it's just it's the pentatonic scale. It's not a brilliant guitar part, but what the lyric, the melody, not the lyrics so much, but the melody makes it incredibly catchy and cool. And that's a song I found, after he died. I didn't even know that song. So that's a cool one.
Well, I thought you might have known that because I thought you enjoyed Hagar a bit too.
I do, but greatest hits.
Yeah.
Go deeper. I just never, I knew what I knew and that's what I knew. And it was unfortunate because I've discovered a lot more that I like now after the fact. But I guess maybe as I got more into the band and more into a guitar player, the prejudice of you got to pick one seeped in. And I just dove deeper into the Dave stuff because that's like the stuff people would ask to play or think of,
Yeah.
A lot of bands are covering Cabo Wabo, maybe.
Yeah.
That's a good song. What's one of your everyone should know songs?
I think Right Now.
You're gonna say I was just gonna make a thing about it. I was like, why don't you tell me right now? Damn it.
But I think that's another, like for the shit I just gave, pretty much the whole band, the band as a whole saying, like they're thematically not the strongest songs. Like Right Now is a very, very thematically relevant and great song.
It took them a long time to write that song too.
Yeah. I wouldn't know. I wouldn't have dug that deep, but I think it's a great song. And I don't think you have to dig that deep to know there's something bigger there going on than you might realize is on the surface. It's a really cool song.
They just recently, Sammy Hagar and Michael Anthony, who played together in a band called The Circle now, and they were in Chickenfoot together and they're great friends. They started an Instagram page called like Van Hagar or something. And it's just it's the Sammy era of the band, but it's really cool. Like never before released little things one thing where we talked about the writing of Right Now. I think it's cool. I think it's cool to give access to that stuff. The Dave stuff, you got to think like this is late 70s, early 80s. Like the technology wasn't around to document things as it was in the late 80s, early and mid 90s. But that's a great song. It's promoted a whole line of failed Pepsi. So fantastic.
Oh, it's right. Crystal Pepsi.
Yeah.
I never enjoyed the Crystal Pepsi. I thought it was too seltzery, very fizzy.
Yeah. It's cola is brown.
Yeah, it's supposed to be, right? Yeah. That page you mentioned, it's an Instagram page.
Yeah.
Is there a lot of like dives into like past material?
So they only started it about a month ago, but let's see how many posts they have now. But yeah, it's all that. Van Hagar, the other half, it's called.
That's really awesome.
There's only 13 posts so far, but it has stuff about because the 30th anniversary of For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge was recently. Yeah, it's cool. I mean,
Is there like archival footage, or it's just like a conversation with the camera kind of thing?
Archival mostly.
There is
some conversations with the calendar.
See, like I'd be curious, like you were saying, like for the Dave era stuff, like that 70s material is probably a lot of paper. I imagine there's probably a lot of photographs and a lot of paper, but I love seeing like studio stuff.
So this book for the Dave era stuff, it's out of print, so it's expensive on the Amazon, but like just unreleased, crazy.
Oh wow!
But it's just the whole Dave era. It's if you're into the band from that era, it's something to have in your collection.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so I'm going wacky on my next two here. Oh no!
Oh boy!
Oh no! I'm going to say one real fast and then jump into my other two because I want to get them. They're more important.
Okay.
Something that could have interchanged for anything on my top 5 would have been "Why Can't This Be Love" from 5150.
Okay.
That was also in my top 5 love song list.
Yeah.
Right? But we're going to go weird here. Okay. So because my first Van Halen album was the 1996 greatest Best of Volume 1, which there never was a Volume 2. It had 2 new David Lee Roth songs that it was a total sham. So they brought Dave in to do the songs, and then they had him come out on the MTV Awards that year, 96, on stage, made everyone think he's back in the band. But they had already hired this guy, Mitch Malloy, to be the new singer after Sammy Hagar. And then when Mitch found out that, and he puts a video, he has documentation, he's not lying, it's a fact, he puts out a song that he had done with them just recently. All this came to light. He quit the band after he saw Dave back. He says, even if he's not in the band, I can't come back from this. And then Gary Sharon wound up in the band. But the 2 new David Lee Roth songs on that Best of, I think, are the best new Van Halen songs that exist. They had 3 new songs with Sammy Hagar on the 2004 Best of, which was like Up for Breakfast, It's About Time, and a ballad. They're good. And then they had the whole a different kind of truth record with David Lee Roth being back. But these 2 songs, Can't Get This Stuff No More and Me Wise Magic, are balance era PV into the 5150 Van Halen playing, not trying to throw back. It's modern Van Halen songs with David Lee Roth singing in a modern sort of way. Mm-hmm. And they're fantastic. Now I ask myself often, are they fantastic because the nostalgia component in my life? Maybe. But at the end of Can't Get This Stuff No More, he repeats the chorus a second time, and just with more energy. And it's just Roth babble. Like in the span of 10 seconds, he hits every vocal suck in and all the crazy stuff he does. And like, I was listening to it today as I was running, and I kept rewinding that spot, and I'm like tearing up because it's like, it was magical.
That's pretty awesome.
Can't Get This Stuff No More.
So here's a question for you, that you being into the band more than I am. Do you know what the writing process was like? Was it like Eddie and Alex locked themselves away for a couple of days and they write all the music, and then Michael and David or Sammy or Gary would come in and just fill in their parts? Or
I don't know.
Or was it a group process?
I don't know the stuff with the David Lee Roth era. I know in the Sammy Hagar era, Eddie and Alex would come up with the jams and then give Sammy a demo, and he'd write lyrics and melodies. There's rumors that Eddie wrote all of Michael Anthony's bass parts. I don't know. Wow. But now David Lee Roth recently has said that he wrote a lot of the solos with his mouth, and Eddie copied what he was singing. So they're all liars. It's really hard to tell.
You see, I believe more that Eddie would have written all of Michael Anthony's bass parts than David Lee Roth wrote Eddie Van Halen's guitar solos.
You think?
Because I feel like anytime you ever see Eddie just not, just haphazardly just playing a guitar, he always sounds like Eddie. So I don't really buy that. But
I don't buy that either. But I know with this, because Sammy Hagar's book, he talks about a lot of this stuff. And Michael Anthony has vouched for it, that something like literally Eddie came to Sammy's house and just kept ringing the bell to tell him, and he was drunk, to tell him that he'd come up with this amazing guitar part. And Sammy was in the middle of trying to be intimate. And Eddie was like, come on, we got to go to the studio. So Sammy obliges him and goes with him to the studio and wrote the lyrics for Finish What You Started. So, I mean, that's a whole story, and that kind of makes sense, circumstantially, because he's sitting there with, Blue Down South. But I don't know. I don't know the process. I wish, like, he had so much material. A video just came out recently from I think it's the OU812 era, if not earlier. Maybe it's after. I think it might be right before that. And it was Eddie in the studio playing the song that became Amsterdam, which was on Balance, 95. So, like, I think he was sitting on riffs forever. And now Wolfgang has all the tapes. And right after he died, he said he was going through the process of, because I guess, like, tapes deteriorate and you have to, like, soak them in this liquid to solidify. I don't really understand any of it, but it's a process.
To keep them from being brittle. Yeah.
You have to bake them with this stuff or something. So I hope that they go through the archives and pull out some magic. There has to be something sonically out there.
Yeah. I've seen the pictures. Before Eddie passed, there was there was always like little things that showed the inner workings of like 5150, and just walls and walls and walls of tapes.
Right.
So you can't even really wrap your head around what must be in some of those boxes.
Magic.
Right.
Because I hope in those boxes there is. So either Can't Get This Stuff No More or Me-Wise Magic. They jammed that with Sammy Hagar. It's called Backdoor Shuffle. I think it might have been Can't Get This Stuff No More. I want to hear the Sammy Hagar demo of Backdoor Shuffle that became Can't Get This Stuff No More.
And it never leaked?
Never leaked. I look all the time. It's not there. It's not there.
So you just know it happened, but you can't. Oh, wow.
Because someone on some tape somewhere had it, and now it's lost in time. But if you search like for Van Halen unreleased tracks or B-sides, there's a Van Halen news desk is a popular website for their news, and they have lists of demos and things. There's a Van Halen Zero demo that I used to have it, stole it from Napster, but I lost it, which was all of the demos that Gene Simmons produced before their first record. So Van Halen Zero, hence before Van Halen 1.
Yeah.
It's awesome. Because a lot of those demos became different songs that didn't see the light of day until A Different Kind of Truth with David Lee Roth in 2012 or whenever that record came out. So they literally pick stuff off their pre-first record demos and rework them 30 years later to make with the same singer, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Nerding out.
It's actually like this whole conversation gives me vibes of Steve Vai, Modern Primitive. I don't know if you followed that at all, but that was like him going through his archives of stuff that he had like from like Alcatraz and from like David Lee Roth, like little bits and pieces of like nothing, that he went back and listened to a lot of his archives and recorded songs that he had probably committed to tape 25 to 30 years earlier.
Sorry.
Did I lose you?
Sorry. People about the movie are bothering me again.
Oh, but that's kind of what I'm getting out of this is little things like that. It'd probably be pretty amazing to get into.
I can't like it's. All right, I'm going to say something else here. I got another one. Sorry.
Go for it.
Okay. I'm going really deep in a hole that I'm not supposed to step in. I'm going to give you a song off Van Halen 3.
Go ahead.
Okay. So my first Van Halen show was 1998 PNC Bank Arts Center. My dad took me, Kenny Wayne Shepherd and Van Halen with Gary Cherone singing. Gary Cherone as a vocalist could cover both singers perfectly, and he ran around the stage like a madman. It was a fantastic show. At the time, I didn't have an allegiance to a singer, so it didn't matter that he was, covering a cover band at that point. So when I got Van Halen 3 at Caldors or Bradley's, one of the two, can't remember. They both look the same in my mind. It was probably Caldors because that was the one where Walmart became, right?
Was it the
one in Airmont? It could have been Bradley's too. I don't know. One of the two.
Airmont was Caldor.
Yeah, one of the two. Can't remember. But that's where I bought it in the big long rectangle.
Yeah,
classics.
I love those rectangles.
That was the first Van Halen, and there wasn't YouTube, so there's no way to see the other singers. That was the Van Halen I knew. And there was a show that MTV2 kept playing from Australia, which I bought a bootleg of, which I have now. And again, Gary Cherone is running all over the stage. He's insane, but there's a song called A Year to the Day. And there's a lot of manipulating of harmonics and feedback, and it's a beautiful song, and it's a good song. Oh, BCAAs make me vomity.
What was the first single off of Van Halen 3?
Without You.
I could never have named that song. I have a distinct memory of not disliking it the first time I heard it or saw the video.
It's not a bad song.
I don't think it's a bad iteration of the band. I think it's different, but like you said, like Gary Cherone, like he could fill those gaps that were left by Hagar and Roth, and he brought his own thing. I don't think it's that bad.
So there's bands.
I know more of the other stuff, admittedly, but I don't think that's bad for what it is.
So if you were to listen to Van Halen 3, anyone listening to this, check out these songs: Without You, Once, Josephina, and Year to the Day. The rest are hit or miss, but those 4 songs are great. No matter what you do not listen to How Many Say I, because Eddie is singing lead vocals and it's not good.
Like you never want to do that.
No.
I love Eddie.
Piano,
but...
it's like just it's like he's plucking on the strings of a piano, but it's just not, it's weird. It's more artsy. It's still Eddie. It's still fantastic. But Without You, From Afar, Once, Josephina. You're on From Afar. I added. I'll give you that one. Without You, From Afar, Once, Josephina, Year to the Day.
How many songs are on the album? Like 10 or 12?
12.
So it's a third of the
a third, but I'd say 5 songs.
Yeah,
5 songs?
it's like a third of the album is quality. Then that's in all honesty, like unless you
go platinum.
Yeah, right. But like if you stop and think about that, like we always have like what are like the legendary albums that you just put on and you listen all the way through? Pretty Hate Machine,
right?
Black Album. You know what I'm talking about. Like not a lot of albums are like that. So if you got a 12-song album that has 4 great songs on it, I'd say you're par for the course, and that's not terrible in that case.
Especially with such a change within the band. You know, I remember very, very vividly, you know, that Guitar World magazine, I'm staring right at it, from 1998, March 98. It's the one where Eddie has the shirt on. Who the F is Eddie Van Halen? And he's discussing how he hates his lead singers, and they have what he call LSD, lead singer disease. And then he goes on to fawn over how he's found his musical soulmate in Gary Sharon. Yeah. I think the label told them they couldn't continue. I think that second record, if they did one, would have been great.
Yeah,
I do. And there was demos for that floating around too.
See, I'd be very curious to hear that. Like once you kind of like cut your teeth with a new formation like that and figure out what the strengths and weaknesses are, the next effort would probably be better.
People weren't coming out to the shows. That was the problem. You know, it was only 2 years removed from Sammy Hagar, and they weren't ready for it. And then the band was just in flux until 2004 when they did the 2-year reunion with Hagar. That didn't work. And then Roth comes back 2007, and then they existed until like 15, and then. But man,
there were 8 years of Van Halen with Roth back.
Yeah, and they got back 2007. Then Eddie had to get hip surgery, so that like got slowed down, and then record. And then they had the thing where they performed on Jimmy Kimmel. Do you see that? They did 4 songs outdoors in LA for Jimmy Kimmel.
Is that where Dave broke his nose?
Yeah. It's just like, man, they must have been like, this guy, you're not a ninja.
But you know what? Like if memory serves, like he broke his nose and then friggin' killed it.
Yep. And if you watch, there's video that they put out of him apologizing to the crowd. He's a professional because he's show business. Like his uncle or his dad or someone, they owned, what the hell was it called in the city? Cafe Wa. Like he has been in show business his whole life. That character that he plays. And I've heard interviews. John 5 was one of his last guitar players in his, I guess, pre-Manson. That was his gig. And he did a whole album with Dave that never came out. And he was like, you don't understand, like Dave behind the scenes, like he's got stories and he's a character, but when he turns off, it's only 50%. He's never completely off, but he's just a regular guy. And that's, I don't know. I would love to hang out with him and get to know him and hear and see and his perspective, because it's an old world. It's showtime. Like it's show business in like that kind of way, you know?
Yeah. And he's like you were saying, he's like an absolute professional in that regard.
He's the guy. Look at him. Look at this. He's almost a woman. It's beautiful.
But he's from that generation for the role he was filling. That's the real deal.
Yeah. Yeah. You couldn't touch him. But that's a record to check out, I would say. And, hey man, it's a bummer. It would have been interesting to see what would have happened next. That his son had discussed one of the last things they were contemplating, because he knew he was getting sicker. And he said that, you know, he was going to Germany to get some treatments that's not approved here. And had COVID not happened, he probably could have had another 6 months to a year alive, because he would have gotten more treatments, but it went to his brain and it would just spread, and it was just unfortunate. But man, like they wanted to do like this kitchen sink tour where it would have been all 3 singers.
Oh, geez. Can you imagine?
I mean, they probably would have needed a bus for each guy each day of the week. So, that's interesting. But yeah, man, it's good music, and everyone should know about it and dig it. And I don't know, maybe on the next record talk, whenever that occurs, we'll figure out something else. But I enjoyed this conversation much. I did.
I did too. I can't wait to play the whole time. Like I'm loving the conversation. I'm loving just like kind of reminiscing about,
the
music like had in past, but I really want to play that guitar.
Yeah, there's a couple others too. You can mess around. There's some new flavors. The Music Man, that's kind of cool too.
Yeah, I'm very curious. Does that have a painted neck?
It's matte. The whole back finish is matte. It's very comfortable. Very fast. Neck through. Every guitar should be neck through. It's crazy.
Does it have like a pseudo like sculpted heel joint, or is it like liquidy smooth?
Straight down. Straight down. Huh? You could play the 27th fret if it existed without
it. How do the piezo pickups sound?
Not as clear as the PR, like the hollow body.
Yeah.
But good. It's cool that you can hit that little preamp boost in there to like basically overdrive. It's like built-in distortion in the guitar, which I'm not really sure what I would use that for, but it's got a lot of good sounds. The neck is thin, but it's nice. The body, it feels very futuristic. It doesn't most of the guitars I use, even the PRS ones, it's still there's tradition built into those body shapes. This feels, of course, alien.
Really?
Yeah. Kind of like a Parker Fly, like that kind of like really light, really thin, neck through, all that, but it doesn't stab you in the sternum.
I saw recently, I'm not going to tell you where I was looking, but I recently saw a Parker Max Fly for sale for less than $1,000.
Yeah, I've seen those. Those are bolt-on and they're import.
I find the shape very tantalizing.
Yeah, it's red and black. I've seen it. It's on Reverb. Is that what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Of course it is. Yeah. Come on.
Dude.
$7.99. What's up?
I think it's unfortunate that brand kind of fell apart the way it did. I would love to have, because they were so hard to find in the first place. So it was just like they were the stuff of legend. You never really found one to actually know what was going on with them.
I'm sorry, Dylan. We had to change due to some personal things, but we are here. And I suggest you, hey, Boo Tang, what's your favorite Van Halen song? Real quick. We'll wait. It's not live. It's okay. No big deal. Well, this was from Amish Outlaws. These are his top 5.
Mean Street's a great song.
Mean Street and I'm the One were on my sub list. I'm the One because I'm the One I was turned on to the Four Non Blondes cover on the Airhead soundtrack.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Right. That's such a great song. I can't really argue with that right there either. Yeah.
Yeah. This kid's going off to college. It's all right. Sticking around for guitar, though. All right, boys and girls. Well, thank you for joining James and I on this week. This about nerd guitar talk. We'll put something together for later in the summer. Figure out some other things. We had some cool ideas coming up. But
are we going to ever do the Trent Reznor Appreciation Hour?
I think that's,
or is that just...
that's going to be the future, because we just did Van Halen Appreciation Hour. So we should stop doing records and just do like full on like love fests for different topics.
I had that one thing I told you about with Metallica. I really would like to do that someday.
Yeah, I like that too.
I think that'd be pretty funny.
Yeah, I'm on a hunt now to find like unreleased recordings of things. That's really what I'm trying to. Oh, so gross I am. Like I'm trying to this 9 Inch Nails song. Maybe just once. It's so good. On Pure Feeling. It was live. It's a demo. It's fantastic.
I've been finding a lot of old 9 Inch Nails because I've been running so much lately. I ran 12 5Ks in 12 days.
So you should just pretty much run from there to here.
I thought about it, going full on Forrest Gump, but I think I'd get lost. That's not the point. Because I've been running so much, I've been watching a lot of concerts, and I've been watching like lots of like late 80s, early 90s 9 Inch Nails concerts right at the beginning of the Self-Destruct tour. So brutal. Like some of them are so ridiculous and they're so good. Like always on point. A lot of old Metallica tours too. Like I've been watching the Injustice for All tour a lot, and a lot of like random videos from the Black Album tour.
I'm really excited for this Black Album box set thing. It's gonna be fantastic. They just put out today another. It was the demo for
Holier Than Thou.
Yeah, which I didn't listen to yet.
I didn't listen to it, but I saw that it was up.
Yeah, it's kind of annoying because I paid the money to get all the fancy, but all of it is going to be on streaming for free. So it's kind of unnecessary to spend all that money for the fancy, but it'll look nice on the shelf.
Yeah, I really want those. You already got them. The Queensryche releases.
Yes, they're over there.
Did you find them to be worth it?
The live stuff is really cool. The unreleased stuff is kind of cool. There's a song I'd never heard before from the Empire Sessions, which I really dig. I didn't watch any of the concerts or like that stuff. I figured maybe we could do that when you're here.
I'm all in on that. I would love to watch all the concerts because like it sounds so silly to say. Like one of my favorite tours is probably that Building Empires tour where they were still playing like all of Mindcrime and then pretty much like all of their other hits. So that'd be a great thing to say.
I put a thing on Instagram, you know, the tones on those two albums, from the clean to the crunchy to the solos, that's all you need.
Yeah, they're so good.
Yeah.
So good. What a great band. Anyway, sorry.
All right, well, I'm going to go teach some music lessons in 10 minutes. And until next time. Oh, wow.